Welcome to Ladies of Another View on Beck. We are so excited to get started today. We're with Andrea and Jan. It's our hometown series. First of all, I hope you all had a great Memorial weekend, but let's get right to Napoleon. I want to go ahead and go through some of the sponsors. Napoleon Care Center, Napoleon Oil, Logan County Abstract Company, Napoleon Drug, Nita's Attic and Coffee House, Central Dakota Frontier Cooperative, Napoleon Livestock, Superior Glass, Schmidt Locker, Al Weigel Farmers Union Insurance, the locals, and First Community Credit Union. So thanks, a big shout out to them, and let's just go see Patty right now. Let's get to her right away.
Thank you, ladies, and I'm here right now with Anton Tony Braun, and he is a retired crop insurance agent, and you also were a dairy farmer for 30 years, right?
Right. My wife and I were dairy farmers with the family for 30 years. And
wow.
And then in 1997, we decided to get out of it and went into crop insurance. So, my mother ended in a nursing home, and I bought the house in town, sold the farm, and moved to town and became a crop insurance agent.
Can you tell us a little bit about the town of Napoleon? I know your family came here back in the, 1900s, early?
Yeah, my family came here from Russia, German-Russian, of course, and early 1900s. And my father was the first one in that family to be born in the United States. The other children were born over in Russia, and they came along over with the family. And they settled, my grandfather homesteaded 6 miles west of Napoleon. And that was their homestead until I sold it, until I got out of it, so that was the Braun farm. So.
Did they have a sod home, do you know?
Yes, they had.
Okay.
And actually, they had a wood home too, and that burned down. So, and then they had to move in a house from Braddock, and we redone that, and that was during the war. And my father says that he had in order to get that house built, he had to say that it was going to be a chicken coop. So he had to get chicken coop windows. So after the house was built, he had to go around selling chicken coop windows.
Oh my goodness.
To the rest of the farmers, because he didn't need that, so that's the way he finally got a house, built on the farm. Yeah. So.
Well,
and they lived, by the way, and they lived in the barn, on the lean-to of the barn during that time.
Wow. So yeah, different time for sure. As a matter of fact, speaking of a different time, you went to a one-room schoolhouse, right? What was that like?
Oh my, one-room schoolhouse, that was interesting when I'm thinking back. I went the first 7 grades to the one-room schoolhouse, and basically at that time, that was 1955, my father wanted, or my family wanted school buses to close the country schools and school buses to come to town. But in those days, a township was 6 miles square, and the township had 3 schools, 3 country schools. Well, our township had 2 schools. The third one was closed for years. And then it didn't pass, so my father bought a house in town so us kids could come to school in Napoleon.
Wow.
And then shortly after that, I think 4 or 5 years later or something like that, is when the township, country schools closed and school buses started coming into town. So yeah, country school there was only 2 families in our country school, and it was interesting. I told you earlier that in the winter of 1950, so much snow, there was only 2 families. The schoolhouse was 1.5 miles south, and so much snow we couldn't get there. So my brother was a teacher, so we had school in our basement. And the neighbor kids, the father would bring them over in a sled, and we had a good time. The snowbanks were 20 feet high and stuff like that. And recess time we'd go out and play in the snow,
So you were an early homeschooler.
I was an early homeschooler, and also one of the first ones to have hot lunch program, because my mother would fix dinner upstairs, and we'd go upstairs and have lunch, So. Yeah, it was, and it's country school. Each country school was a little bit different in those days. Like the country school that my wife went to, there was probably 7 or 8 families that went to that school. Where mine, it was just 2 all the time. Until later on, the last 2 years, there was 2 other families that brought their first graders in, So, but we always had a teacher. One other thing that, as long as you're asking, we always had a Catholic teacher. So during Lent, the first thing in the morning, we would say the Pledge of Allegiance. That was a must. Pledge of Allegiance was every first Pledge Allegiance to the flag. Then during the Lent was the Rosary.
Oh, really? To start your day off?
Yeah.
Wow.
No, that was not off from school. We just prayed the Rosary.
Right, that was
You know,
just
it took
part
that
of it.
15, 20 minutes to pray the Rosary before school started.
All right.
And it was only an 8-month school period, was it? 9 months like it is now. So that, because kids had to go home and help with springs work and stuff like that.
Right, so it was only 8 months.
Yes.
Can you tell me, how is it that Napoleon became the county seat for Logan County?
Yes, now Napoleon, I've been doing a lot of studying.
Okay.
First of all, before I go to that part, I like to mention 2 people that were my friends that have passed away.
Okay.
One of them is Terry Schwarzenberg's dad, Jerome. He would be better at this talking about the old days than I would because of his knowledge. And he passed away last fall, right, Terry? Something like that, yeah. And the other one was Tom Arbley. 101 years old. His funeral is going to be on Friday.
Oh my goodness.
That man could tell you where everything is in town. But they need mentioning those 2
Sure,
guys.
yeah. Well, now the baton is passed to you, Tony.
Yeah, these gray hair, yes. But anyway, the township was started I think in about 1883, 84, where 5 or 6 guys met south of the Kidder County, Logan County line in a buggy, and they set the township as section 17, 134, 35, 72, which is the present town site, and the other one was section 19, which was east of town here about 2 miles. So anyway, then they had a vote as far as where to have it, you know, there or here. And the vote was 6-3 to have it in the town that we've got right now. But a couple of years later, there was a couple that moved in. They moved out there, and that was the first post office. That post office was called Paul.
Paul.
Paul,
Okay.
yes.
Paul the post
Paul
office.
was the post office. But going back to the election when they voted as far as that ballot,
Yes.
that didn't even have Napoleon on there. It just had section 19, 17, and section 9. No name of a town or anything was on that ballot, you know.
Okay.
And then the first white person that set a homestead in Napoleon was a Mr. Kraber. And he had he homesteaded, or he made a homestead out here west of Napoleon. And he became good friends of Mr. Napoleon Goodsell, who was a businessman up at Steele.
All right.
And there he bought the lumber from him to build the house west of town. And that home
And
is
that
at the...
became the town, okay.
That became the town of
All right.
Cage.
Well, I'm glad that it actually got a name to it. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, Tony, for joining us today. Back to you, ladies.
Thanks, Patty. That was fun. We had a couple other comments.
Yeah, so he just knows so much about the people from Napoleon. He did have another comment on the Wentz family. He said that it was one of their ancestors by the name of Mr. Pete Wentz that went down to South Dakota to try to convince the Germans from Russia to come up to Napoleon.
Yeah, he's delightful. He's my husband's first cousin. The family has been extremely close, and I was really glad to be able to visit with them ahead of time and to see this today.
Perfect. Well, we'll check right back after this with Patty on Ladies of Another View on Back.
My hometown of Napoleon is presented by the following: Napoleon Oil, Logan County Abstract Company, and Napoleon Drug. Bucks fans, it's Kid and Mascot Night at the Bismarck Event Center on Saturday, June 5th. Join us and all your favorite local mascots as the Bucks take on the Sioux Falls Storm. Proceeds from our generous sponsors in the 50-50 raffle will be donated to Brave the Shame. Bring the family out to the nationally televised IFL Game of the Week on June 5th at a special 7:05 kickoff time for great entertainment. Free ticket vouchers can be printed from the Bucks social media accounts. Get yours now or call 701-595-0771 for more ticket information.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county. Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
Quality care in a pleasant atmosphere that residents can call home. That's what Napoleon Care Center is all about. Napoleon Care Center is large enough to meet the needs required in a long-term care setting by providing skilled nursing, physical therapy, basic care, and assisted living services in a comfortable, personal setting. Serving Napoleon and surrounding communities, they provide the one-on-one attention that residents deserve. Let your family member become a member of our family at Napoleon Care Center.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. When you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
My hometown of Napoleon is presented by the following: Napoleon Oil, Logan County Abstract Company, and Napoleon Drug.
Welcome back to the My Hometown series on Ladies of Another View on Beck. It's so fascinating to hear about these little communities. Anyway, I want to go through the sponsors. Without the sponsors, we can't do these shows. So thanks, a big shout out to Napoleon Care Center, Napoleon Oil, Logan County Abstract Company, Napoleon Drug, Nita's Attic and Coffee House, Central Dakota Frontier Cooperative, Napoleon Livestock, Superior Glass, Schmidt Locker, Al Weigel Farmers Union Insurance, the locals even pitched in, and First Community Credit Union. Thanks to all of you. Now let's go check in with Patty.
Thank you, ladies. I'm now joined by Anita Feddick, and she is a lifelong resident and a business owner. Can you tell us a little bit about your businesses?
Okay, well, I first of all came here about in second grade, and my mom and dad were business owners. We moved here for the bowling alley, which they've been running now. This year's their 50th year. Went to school here, married a guy from Napoleon that had graduated from here, and I guess 9 months later we had a baby. So I thought, I have one, I may as well have more. So I decided to start a daycare, which I've been doing for 34 years. Daycare went up and it went down, and somewhere along the line I had a couple different houses, and I didn't think I was going to have a daycare left in about 5 years or 10 years because everybody was going to school. So I turned one of my houses into a consignment store and just opened the door and let people shop and bring their stuff over to the daycare. It's a very trusting community. And meanwhile, 15 years later down the road, I have a consignment store in Napoleon and also Jamestown with over 1,300 consigners and a daycare with 55 to 60 children and 4 houses. So I say that quite humbly because when I got married, I was in the daycare kitchen. That's where my first place was when I got married, and that's where I am to this day 34 years later, in that same kitchen cooking for 50 to 60 children. So it's unreal what can happen around you just by staying in one place. So God's been at work in my life a lot, and it's been a great thing for the community. There's a place for all the kids here, and what's interesting about it is now I'm taking care of my daycare kids as children, so there's kind of a generation gap. So I have like 4 families that I raised, and now I'm raising their kids. So it's just been really a fun thing, and now I have like 9 of my own grandchildren in my daycare too.
Well, Anita, you have 7 kids of your own, right?
Yes.
And I want the audience to know, when you say your houses, you have in-home daycare out of 4 houses that are all together. I thought, wow, this is amazing. I don't know if anybody else is doing that, but it's so cool that then they're all together, so you're able to cook.
Yeah. What I value from that the most is, you know, when people think of 50 or 60 kids, they get like, wow, you know, but we didn't start like that. We started small and we grew. And the nice thing about it is they're all homes. So they're home daycares, and the kids in each house are the kids that they're going to go to school with. So when babies are all together, they're raised and they go to preschool with their friends, and then they go to school. Like Charlotte said, the classes are 20 to 25. These next 2 years, from age 3 to 5, we will have 40 kids in preschool. And I mean, you know what, like Charlotte talked about church a little bit, when Father puts the basket out at church for the little kids to come up and bring their money up, there's like 50, 60 kids coming out of the woodwork, and I'm like, you don't even see that in a big town, which is very beautiful to see young families bringing their children to church. Our community is a very strong faith community all around with all the different denominations, but yeah, so it's just, and there are big families like Charlotte said also, but.
And it sounds like they kind of grow up like family, you know, they're together in daycare and school, and the families all know each other. I want you to talk about your high school class reunion every year, because that's a pretty big deal here in Napoleon, right?
Yeah, well, I took the job on about 8 years out of school. One of my daycare dads said, well, it's really easy. Well, meanwhile, I've been there 30 years now. I'm the secretary, and I work with a wonderful board. And we're one of the only small communities that I know of that can keep an event like that going. We have it the first Saturday night in August every year. We have between 300 and 450 people that attend. And it's so awesome to see some of the same people coming back year after year for like 20 years to come back there one time to visit Napoleon because of all these just great reasons. And the Napoleon Alumni FFA, they put on a street dance now. We tried on the Friday night, so we get people to come from that. Our local corn show days have been moved to that weekend because, you know, there's a decrease in attending events for some people, and yet by bringing everything into that same weekend, there's a lot for people to do, and it's been a wonderful thing, and we can keep those people coming back.
Do they come from out of state?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Some come from out of state every year. A lot of from Bismarck and Fargo, but we'll at least have, oh boy, I would say 20 to 40 from out of state a year.
Wow.
Probably that we register.
That they can come back and have an event that they can belong and participate and see their old friends and family. That is so cool. Now your kids tend to stay in Napoleon, and they have their own businesses, right?
Yes, yes. You know, when you think of the small town, Napoleon is such a great town. I'm with Charlotte on that. It has so much to offer. We have people that come here for hunting. I mean, it has hunting, it has fishing. It's still one of the few small towns that have a bowling alley, and all my kids were raised in the bowling alley. It's got a golf course, it's got camping, it's got water. And I mean, I just want to put a little, you know, kick in for Westlake out here. You know, we got a state park like 18 miles south. But right outside of town, we have a beautiful lake that is really developing and has a beautiful shore. And after a hard day's work, we take the pontoon out for a couple hours. We don't even have to drive a mile. And we go back home. And, you know, so we have a lot to offer in this community. So I have one son that's bought into a sprinkler business. I have another one, and then one of the other sons is going to go in with him. And then I have one son does carpentry work, and then my daughter works at daycare with me. My mom's worked at daycare with me for 35 years. So I always tell people, if you have a good work ethic, which you definitely find in Napoleon, we're hard workers. I always told them you can either go to college for 4 years and not have to work so hard, or you can work real hard like your mom and dad and start from scratch. And so I say that quite humbly because I do have hard workers, and they're just... And they can bring their kids to grandma's daycare, and that's a beautiful thing, you know.
Right.
And,
yeah, well, how perfect. Yes.
Yeah. So that was just.
They can work and be.
And then
kids with grandma.
then there was always the joke. Well, Mom, you didn't take care of us when you grew up. You took care of everybody else's kids. So we need some more time with you. But yeah.
But that's one of the points we've sometimes made on our show, is that you can be an entrepreneur. You don't have to go to college. There's ways to earn a living. And your kids have proven that. Obviously, they got something from their parents.
Well, my husband is a very hard worker, and he has a business too, like Jim Feddick and Sons, and he mows and does trees, and he's the handyman in town. And Without him, I would be no place because he's my carpenter for every place around and janitor. And I had to chuckle when he got the phone call one morning to get a cat out of a window well at 5:30 in the morning from an old lady, and I'm like, "You do anything, don't you?"
Right. Yeah.
But
you
yeah,
get a
so he's
cat.
yeah,
Okay.
so yeah, we do have a lot to offer in this community, and the strong faith and the hard work, I would have to say, is the rock of this community. A huge amount of the business owners, I would say, over 70–80% are just good Christian, hardworking people, and they've come from this community, which makes them dedicated to their businesses, and that's what's made it successful.
Well, I would also say the heart of the community. You sound like you're the heart of the family and a heart in this community, too, in a big way. So thank you so much, Anita, for joining us, and back to you, ladies.
I was going to say, I know where I'm going to call if I need a cat out of a window well.
You know, I'm just really impressed by the fact that they have their daycares in actual houses and that they've bought up basically like a whole block worth of homes, up 5 now, and they're going to have the kids be there just as though they were at home. They get the home-cooked meals, they get the experience of being with their friends, grade school through whenever they're out of daycare. That's pretty special, I think.
It really is.
I can see why it's so popular with young families, though. The list of things to do in Napoleon's pretty impressive, with the bowling alley, the park, the lake, everything. That park has a pool, tennis courts, basketball courts, pickleball, volleyball, horseshoes, disc golf course, and camping. That sounds great.
And they use them all.
Of course they do.
I mean, it's a full sense of community.
And we think of that as like when we were growing up. I don't know that my kids have ever played pickleball, horseshoe, there's so many other things. Napoleon Park, the country club. I mean, there's just so many things to do in those parks.
Oh, yeah.
We used to do those picnics and stuff like that, and that just doesn't happen as much
We
anymore.
take our kids to play horseshoes.
Awesome.
Fun picnic activity.
All right. So, gosh, I can't wait to see what she has on with her next guest down there in Napoleon. But we'll be right back after this on Ladies of Another View on Beck.
My Hometown of Napoleon is presented by the following: Nita's Attic and Coffee House and Fedig Daycare, Central Dakota Frontier Cooperative, and Schmidt Locker.
Every great pizza has a secret. At New York To Go, that secret lies in our perfectly recreated New York water, the key ingredient to making our signature New York-style pizza. We also feature gyros, with the region's only gyro meat spit, plus Nathan's hot dogs, calzones, and our delicious jumbo buffalo wings. Try a 14-inch or our special giant 20-inch pizza tonight. You gotta know how to fold them if you want to hold them. New York To Go, we deliver for you.
Ever been in a cave before?
It's our first time.
All right.
Where are you going?
I'll see you at the car!
How will we?
The car! Your offer's been accepted. Ever bought a house before?
It's our first time.
All right.
Where are you going?
I'll see you at the closing.
But how will we?
The closing!
Being a member of First Community Credit Union means access to better rates and lower fees. And it means being part of something more. It's joining a team that's dedicated to serving our community by giving scholarships to our future leaders, providing food for a hungry neighbor, and lending a helping hand to our local parks. Our communities always come first. It's the credit union difference. Come join us and see what we can do together.
Quality care in a pleasant atmosphere that residents can call home. That's what Napoleon Care Center is all about. Napoleon Care Center is large enough to meet the needs required in a long-term care setting by providing skilled nursing, physical therapy, basic care, and assisted living services in a comfortable, personal setting. Serving Napoleon and surrounding communities, they provide the one-on-one attention that residents deserve. Let your family member become a member of our family at Napoleon Care Center.
For the greatest selection and full menu offering is the Four Seasons Restaurant and Ice Cream Parlor in Garrison. Succulent sandwiches, big breakfasts served all day, and delicious desserts. Easy access in and out for campers and RVs. The Four Seasons Restaurant at the top of Main Street, Garrison.
My Hometown of Napoleon is presented by the following: Nita's Attic and Coffee House and Fedig Daycare, Central Dakota Frontier Cooperative, and Schmidt Locker.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Back. I just want to go through those sponsors once again. Napoleon Care Center, Napoleon Oil, Logan County Abstract Company, Napoleon Drug, Nita's Attic and Coffee House, Central Dakota Frontier Cooperative, Napoleon Livestock, Superior Glass, Schmidt Locker, Al Weigel, who has Farmers Union Insurance, Locals, which I understand you can get your gas and a few convenience items, and First Community Credit Union. Thanks to all of our sponsors. So your husband is from Napoleon, right?
Amen.
Amen. Well, let's just take a look. We're going to peek back in on, with Patty right now.
Thank you, ladies. I'm joined now with Charlotte Young, and she's a pharmacist and the owner of Napoleon Drug. And you are a business owner of 2 drugstores, right? Do you want to tell us about that?
I can tell you about that. We moved here in 1992. It seems so long ago.
Yeah, it is now.
I grew up in Edgeley, North Dakota, and I went to college, and then in 1992 I graduated from college, and my husband and I decided at that time that we wanted to raise our family in a small town. So when I was offered a job in Napoleon, we moved to Napoleon and I became a pharmacist here. And then in 2001, I was offered the opportunity to buy the business. So in 2001, I purchased the business, so it's been 20 years. And we raised our family of 5 children here, and we wanted to come to a small town. I'm so glad we did.
So that's interesting that you moved here, you took a job here, and then you became a pharmacist?
Well, I graduated with a pharmacy degree, and then so came here as a pharmacist. Yep, my first job ever.
It's interesting to me that you have a store, you have a pharmacy store in Fargo and one here in a small town, Napoleon, and this is where you choose to live. Why is that?
It's not actually a pharmacy. It's just a convenience store in downtown Fargo, and we opened it about 2 years ago. And we just really like the small town opportunity that our kids have in school. So we want our kids to like finish their schooling in a small town. And we have good employees running, and my son is in Fargo, so they kind of just run the business for us, and we help on weekends.
For somebody that's never lived in a small town, not everybody knows, like, what's so great about small towns? What's so great about Napoleon that you chose it?
Napoleon is such a cool town. And I remember the first time we felt like welcome was we were finally invited to a wedding. And then we felt like, oh, now we're part of this town. And then even like the school, you know, the classes are probably 20-ish, 25 kids. And kids have an opportunity to excel at what they're good at. You're not held back like in a big school, you're just like a number. You can excel at lots of things. Just, you know, FFA, sports, academics. So the school was a big part for us, that we wanted our kids to be raised in a small town with the opportunities. Or the other part is just like small town community. It's small town community, or I always say, like, if somebody would come to our church, a stranger, they would not know whose kids are whose, because everybody's taking care of them. They're everywhere. And I want to say I only had 5 kids. My family is just average. I'm only 5 kids.
When I met you, Charlotte, and we were just getting to know one another, you said, I only have 5 kids. I said, who says that anymore? Only 5 kids. So that's pretty remarkable that that's how you feel in this town.
Yes, I do.
So there are big families?
There are many big families. There are like 6, 7, 8. I think there's even a 9. Yeah. They're all above that, about 6, 7 kids.
And I would imagine that one of the draws of a small town is a lower crime rate?
Yes.
I'm assuming.
Yes, we do have. I mean, it's just recently that we've started locking our vehicles at night. I mean, usually the keys are in the vehicle at night, and they're just sitting outside. We do have a low crime rate, I would say.
Okay, and so that you just feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And I really like the welcoming. You're not the only person I met here walking around, getting to know people in town that came here from another area and just love it here and feel welcomed.
Yeah. Yep, I always liked Napoleon. My great-grandpa is actually from Napoleon. His name was Joseph Mathern, and he's my great-grandpa. So we would always come over to Napoleon to visit or for families reunions. And it's just really a fun little town.
Oh, so you knew a little bit about
So
it.
I knew
you
a
just
little
didn't
bit
come sight unseen.
Well, I came on a phone interview. I didn't even meet my boss in person.
Oh my gosh.
He just hired me on the phone. So we came sight unseen, and I came.
Right, because there's a lot of towns to choose from, right?
There is, and pharmacy.
Not that there aren't good ones.
Yeah, there are a lot of choose to. And pharmacy it's a business that's booming, and there are different job opportunities out there. But we wanted small town.
And I would assume it's very important to have a pharmacist in town to stay alive and thriving.
In rural communities, it is, because we are actually the only pharmacy in Logan County.
Oh wow.
So, and that makes it sound like huge, but so people don't have to travel so far.
Right.
They just have to travel 20 miles. They don't have to travel 75 miles to Bismarck.
Right.
And then we have Wishick 30 miles away and Steele's another 30 miles away.
And that is so important. When you have to fill a prescription,
Right.
You don't want to have to drive an hour away.
Right.
Yeah.
And we are so fortunate that we do have a doctor and a PA in town every day, or we have a PA in town every day at the Napoleon Clinic. So that's very fortunate for us.
So all the way around, people can get their medical care.
Yeah. Right.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Charlotte, and back to you, ladies.
Thanks, Patty. We're getting through this show rather quickly. We're going to come back right after this, and we're going to see who Patty has next. That's next time, or on the next segment with Ladies of Another View on Beck.
My Hometown of Napoleon is presented by the following: Napoleon Livestock, sales every Thursday. Superior Glass. Schmidt Locker.
Quality care in a pleasant atmosphere that residents can call home. That's what Napoleon Care Center is all about. Napoleon Care Center is large enough to meet the needs required in a long-term care setting by providing skilled nursing, physical therapy, basic care, and assisted living services in a comfortable, personal setting. Serving Napoleon and surrounding communities, they provide the one-on-one attention that residents deserve. Let your family member become a member of our family at Napoleon Care Center.
Being a member of First Community Credit Union means access to better rates and lower fees. And it means being part of something more. It's joining a team that's dedicated to serving our community by giving scholarships to our future leaders, providing food for a hungry neighbor, and lending a helping hand to our local parks. Our communities always come first. It's the credit union difference. Come join us and see what we can do together.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
At Beck Communications, we've been planning for your future. Over the past decade, we've placed nearly 200,000 miles of dedicated fiber optics in the ground. Enough fiber optic strands to circle the world 8 times. Taking no shortcuts, we connected every home and business in our service area with dedicated fiber optics. It's your personal, unrestricted, unthrottled connection to the world. Best of all, this dedicated fiber means you do not share your connection. We call this intimate dedicated connection Beck Fiber.
Bucks fans, it's Kid and Mascot Night at the Bismarck Event Center on Saturday, June 5th. Join us and all your favorite local mascots as the Bucks take on the Sioux Falls Storm. Proceeds from our generous sponsors in the 50-50 raffle will be donated to Brave the Shave. Bring the family out to the nationally televised IFL Game of the Week on June 5th at a special 7:05 kickoff time for great entertainment. Free ticket vouchers can be printed from the Bucks social media accounts. Get yours now or call 701-595-0771 for more ticket information. My Hometown of Napoleon is presented by the following: Napoleon Livestock, sales every Thursday. Superior Glass. Schmidt Locker.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck. We are in Napoleon today, and I just want to do a shout out to some of the sponsors again. Napoleon Care Center, Napoleon Oil, Logan County Abstract Company, Napoleon Drug, Nita's Attic and Coffee House, Central Dakota Frontier Cooperative, Napoleon Livestock, Superior Glass, Schmidt Locker, Al Weigel Farmers Union Insurance, Locals, and First Community Credit Union. A big shout out to the sponsors. Without sponsors, we can't do this show. Now back to you, Patty.
Thanks, ladies. I'm now joined with Terry Schwarzenberger, and he is the publisher and editor of the Napoleon Homestead newspaper. And there's nothing like a hometown newspaper, and your family has owned it for quite some time, right?
Yes, my father got into the business in 1953 as a junior in high school.
Wow.
And he worked his way up to owning it starting in 1972. And he owned it up until 2005, and at that point is when I became owner and still owner today. But prior to that, it was owned by 3 generations of Bryants. And the paper started in 1886, 2 years after Napoleon was started or voted upon. And there were 3 generations of Bryants that owned the newspaper up until 1972. And another fun fact, I guess, is that on June 11th of this year, the newspaper will be 135 years old.
135 years owned by 2 families.
Yes.
Wow.
And the newspaper is the longest continuous business in Napoleon and in Logan County. So,
remarkable. Yeah. And so if somebody, because so many people come for the class reunions every year, if somebody wanted to subscribe to the newspaper, they could do that from out of state, right?
Yes, we have a great number of out-of-state subscribers just for the fact of the all-school reunion, and we take pictures of classes at that reunion. We put them all in the newspaper, and people like to see their face, of course.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And if they want to subscribe, they can do it online at on NapoleonHomestead.com or give us a call at work, and we'll gladly get them set up.
So what's the latest news around town these days?
The latest news, from my standpoint, I guess, the biggest news is probably the construction of the Wentz Living Center. It's a new nursing home that's being built in Napoleon. It's a huge project, a $12 million project that is being donated by the Wentz family.
Wow.
So it's quite a donation to the community of Napoleon, and it's just a great thing that's happening in the community. We do have a nursing home now, which is a 44-bed skilled and basic care facility. That'll be changing soon. Not soon, but I guess by the end of the year 2022 is the plans to move into the new facility.
Well, that's pretty remarkable. The Wentz family has donated a $12 million facility.
Yes, their plan is to once it's completed, to turn the keys over to the current Napoleon Care Center forward.
And so who are the Wentzes to Napoleon?
The Wentzes have a long tradition of Napoleon, or a long line in Napoleon. Back in, I believe, the early 30s, they moved from the Streeter area to the Napoleon area, and they've had their name on businesses such as Wentz Chevrolet, Wentz Restaurant, Wentz Equipment, Wentz Hardware, Wentz Clothing, Wentz Furniture, Wentz Motel. Logan Auto Implement was owned by a Wentz also. They own Napoleon Creamery, Napoleon Oil, and a dry cleaning business, just to name a few of the businesses.
Wow.
So they
awesome.
Yes, and they the place where this is being filmed at today was also donated by a Wentz. Reuben and Helen Wentz donated the restaurant here. So
they are a big part of Napoleon.
Wentz is, yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah, and it's the Adam Wentz family is the one that is donating the new Wentz Living Center. It's a family donation, and they believe in the community. So
$12 million, I imagine, is going to be pretty modern. Are there anything special about the facility?
The person, kind of a project developer, is Brian Wentz, and he's a 1980 graduate of Napoleon High School, 81 graduate of Napoleon High School, and he's been working with an architect, and they plan to use geothermal heating, geothermal air conditioning. In addition to the rooms that they're having, they're adding an extra couple of rooms that'll be called isolation rooms, where we all know with this COVID how that shut down nursing homes and visitation and whatever. And this new facility will have areas where if somebody has some kind of infectious disease or something, that they would move them to these rooms and isolate them from the rest of the residents, so that those people can continue to live their lives that they're living. So.
Wow, that's huge, because I think, and that's been a topic that we've talked about on our show too, is how hard it's been for the seniors in any kind of assisted living or nursing homes. And so you're telling me with the isolation rooms, the rest of the facility can keep operating?
Correct. That's the hope. And this is a first in the state, according to what Brian told me. I mean,
wow.
So yeah, it's innovative, I think, and should be neat.
Yeah, that is impressive. So how did you get into the newspaper business yourself? Is this, did you have a choice growing up? Was it like a family?
Yes. It was a family thing. When I was young, I had a little bit of an interest in photography. So I started out by taking pictures on a 35mm camera and developing those in the bathroom of our home. Okay, and then pretty soon my dad would say, well, can we use any of those for the newspaper? Because he was looking for things. And so we did that for a while, and as the process developed over the years, everything has become digital now, but in the earlier days it was not, of course. And so I got a taste of the newspaper business early to help out wherever you needed to, because it was a family business. Back in 1979, when I graduated from high school in Napoleon, there were 79 graduates at that time. The school was a big school, over 600 people in high school alone. So I went off to college and got an education with a degree in business administration. And at the time, my father said, hey, until you find what you really want to do, why don't you move back here and help me out? Well, no, that's been since 1983, and I've been here since.
See, parents, that's how you keep your kids close to home,
right?
You know?
And we raised a family here. I have 7 children also, so.
Okay, wonderful.
They range in age from 30 to age 9, so.
Well, journalism has changed quite in many different ways. Do you feel like the newspaper has changed, or are you still delivering the same authentic product?
The newspaper, how it has changed, yes. It's changing every day. One of the biggest changes for us has been having a digital edition, so people can go online, access that also, versus receiving a hard copy in the mail.
But no fake news, right?
Correct. Correct. We're fortunate.
We have, deal.
Yes, we're fortunate here in Napoleon, I think, too, that we have loyal readers, people who have ties to this area look to the newspaper, I believe. Our whole county only has like 1,800 people, and we have 1,300 subscribers.
Wow, that is amazing.
So, it's been good. Advertising has been good. Subscribers have been good. We've just been blessed.
So, yeah, you put out a good product, and I'm so glad to know no fake news. So,
right.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Terry, for joining us, and I'm going to hand it back to you, ladies.
Thanks, Patty. It's so interesting. There was 700 kids in the high school at the time, and now the population is 850 in the town, 1,800 in the county. Then also something that struck me was how they pay back to the community. Seems like people are just, giving back.
It's wonderful. I think, too, something that should be noted with all of these folks that donate and give of their time and talents, it's not to get their name on a placard. Right. These folks genuinely care about the community. They're all involved with all the people there, all of the plethora of children that were birthed in that town. I know even in my husband's family, he's 11 of 12. He has cousins where they have 14 children in the family. So that kind of was the early tradition, or maybe it's what you do all winter when you're in the country. I don't know. But yeah, the family reunions that take place in that town, they're phenomenal. And everybody knows everybody, and everybody cares for everyone.
I noticed that too, and then like the gal had said, one of the other guests had said, how if you were invited to a wedding, you finally knew you were part of the community.
For sure.
Have you had any of those experiences in your? You've always been in the Morton County and then off to Florida,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, but it is a sign of being a part of the community. You know, you're there. So.
Yeah. Fun. Oh, fun. Well, there's just so much fun. It's so fascinating. I know your husband is from the area, and it is just, I'm just so glad that Beck has taken this opportunity to talk about these small communities, because that is the lifeline to our state. You know, there's just so much going on. I can't wait to see who her next guest is. But first, let's take a look at some of our sponsors, and we'll be right back after this on Ladies of Another View on Beck.
My Hometown of Napoleon is presented by the following: Al Weigel, Farmers Union Insurance Agent. Locals Convenience Center. Nita's Attic and Coffee House, and Fedig Daycare.
For the greatest selection and full menu offering is the Four Seasons Restaurant and Ice Cream Parlor in Garrison. Succulent sandwiches, big breakfasts served all day, and delicious desserts. Easy access in and out for campers and RVs. The Four Seasons Restaurant at the top of Main Street, Garrison.
Being a member of First Community Credit Union means access to better rates and lower fees. And it means being part of something more. It's joining a team that's dedicated to serving our community by giving scholarships to our future leaders, providing food for a hungry neighbor, and lending a helping hand to our local parks. Our communities always come first. It's the credit union difference. Come join us and see what we can do together.
Hi, Hunter Ellis here for Night Hero Binoculars by Atomic Beam. These binoculars let you see anything, even in pitch black darkness. Gotcha.
The secrets are powerful wide-angle atomic beam laser that reveals objects up to 150 yards away, hidden by darkness.
During the day, Night Hero gives you 10 times magnification. And when the sun goes down, press the Night Bright button to see clearly in the dark.
Light up garbage-eating critters or spot thieves before they even get close.
Call or click now and get Night Hero binoculars for just $39.99. Order right now and you can double it. Plus, get our best-selling atomic beam flashlight. Just pay a separate fee.
We'll even ship them to you free.
This TV special offer is not available on Amazon. You can get it all, but you have to order now.
Call 1-800-619-1091. That's 1-800-619-1091. Or visit bynighthero.com. That's bynighthero.com. Order now.
I'm Rick Becker from No Apologies. Welcome to your after hours oasis of sanity. Watch us weeknights at 9 Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
My Hometown of Napoleon is presented by the following: Al Weigel, Farmers Union Insurance Agent. Locals Convenience Center. Nita's Attic and Coffee House, and Fedig Daycare.
Thank you, ladies. And I'm now joined with Eric Holberg, and he is the the Logan County Economic Development Coordinator, right?
Correct.
So he coordinates jobs around here and helps put people with businesses. And what's the latest going on industrial-wise as far as hiring?
Well, Logan County, as with most North Dakota, is ag-based. I mean, everything is ag-based. We have a number of ag-based businesses that employ a lot of people, but we also have the nursing, the center that's being built, white-collar jobs that are. I mean, as Terry said earlier, we have probably right now, if you look in the paper, there's probably 4 or 5, half a dozen jobs that are looking. Some are white-collar, nursing, welding, ag-based. So, I mean, there's actually a variety of jobs that are open right now. and it's
At all different levels, right? Like white collar, welding. What about the medical facility? Are there jobs in that field?
yeah. There's a nursing shortage throughout the United States, and I think Rick Ragnar is always looking for help up at the care center, and I think the care center is our largest employer. So he's always looking for help. Just here, just on Main Street, we have a wonderful, probably a beautiful Main Street that's full. There's not a vacant spot on Main Street. New lumberyard that just started up a couple years ago, and they're doing well, supplying the construction that's going on. So yeah, there's plentiful opportunities right here in Napoleon.
Which isn't always true in a small town. I know a lot of times you see vacant buildings and probably hard for some people to stay, but it sounds like that's not the case here.
Yeah, it isn't. In fact, in the last probably 3 to 4 years, we haven't had a business closing in Napoleon area. We've had I think just about every year we've had 1 or 2 businesses start up, and we've just slowly been kind of growing along.
I'm wondering, with the new senior care center, that's pretty exciting, a $12 million facility, but what about now the one you're using right now? What's going to happen with that?
There's no definite plans yet, but we look at it as an opportunity. I know that some people locally have wondered or are concerned about having an empty facility, but it's a beautiful thing. We have an opportunity to bring in private sector business to fill it and employ more people, expand into a different field. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for us.
Do you know, can you tell me a little of the history of the businesses here, like some of the oldest business or what got Napoleon started? I'm sorry, I'm throwing you one out of the blue here.
The four prior people would have been better at that. But I would just speak in the last 5-6 years, we have opened up a bakery, which is bucking the trend. I mean, small town bakeries usually don't make it, and they've been closing up. And we had one that started up, and she's doing wonderful. We brought in a diesel mechanic repair shop just lately, and he's doing well. Some local people started up it's a large farming group that diversified into rebuilding seeding and planting equipment, and they're doing well. New lumberyard. There's been, and I'm probably missing 1 or 2, but there's been a number of people, a number of expansions in the last 4 to 5 years. And that's really kind of bucking the trend in small town America. We're slowly losing jobs and businesses, and in the last 4 to 6 years, we've gained employment.
That is remarkable. Do you ever get people from out of town coming to you and wanting to know, like, hey, I'm interested in moving here, or, what kind of jobs are there?
I think Terry probably gets more of those calls, but and then he'll if there's a business that needs funding or wants to develop something, then I get the phone call. But I would say most people are coming here, they know what they're going to do.
Right.
And I forgot, we just had a startup pallet manufacturing business that employed on a part-time, full-time, part-time basis. They're probably up to 7 or 8, 10 full-time people.
What do you think the secret is of Napoleon, that it's so healthy economically, where other hometowns would envy that? What's your secret?
I don't know if there's a secret, but there's, if you look around in some of these communities, some communities are just they're well kept. The people are progressive. It's the people that make the town. And some cities, just have progressive people that care about their yards, they care about their community, they get involved in the community activities, and they donate their time, they donate their, they just, it's the people of the community that just do it, that make the community.
And so many small towns, people are leaving, but you, I mean, that happens everywhere. It happens in big cities too. But you've got people coming in.
You know, people want to come back here. If you know, there's a reason there's a lot of Wentzes. You know, there's a reason that there's 2 or 3 generations. You know, there's of business ownership. They like the community, and their kids want to come back here and farm, or their kids want to come back and take over a business. It's a great community to live and work and play, and the school does a wonderful job, and it's you know, your kid can stop at locals or stop anywhere and say, just charge it to Dad. You know, they just do. You know, and my brother came to town once and bought some sausage at Schmidt Locker, and he forgot his checkbook and cash, and Bill just said, don't worry about it, I'll catch up with Eric. You know, so
that is
your brothers can charge to you, in fact. So.
Yeah, I'm about ready to move here, let me tell you. Yeah, I can tell. Well, when I came here to visit, Jan and I, one of my co-hosts, we just were coming for the morning. We didn't get back to Bismarck till after 7. So yeah, we didn't want to leave. This is a great community, and thank you so much for the work that you do and for appearing on the show today.
Thank you.
And I'm going to hand it back to you, ladies.
Thanks, Patty. I think there was a little inside joke there. Even your brothers can go ahead and charge on your account. Did you get that? Okay, you know you're in a small town, but anyway, we have about a minute left, and it's so exciting to have these hometown shows. Your thoughts, ladies, quickly?
Well, I just want to say that if you like sausage and you want some of the good stuff, blood sausage, liver sausage, fry sausage, you need to go to Schmidt Locker.
Head sausage.
Yeah,
yep.
All of those things. They make some divine stuff there.
Perfect. All right. Well, we do want to thank you guys for joining in. And if you have a hometown that you want to talk about or you want us to talk about on the show, just go ahead and send us an email. Just let us know at any time. Our next hometown is actually going to be in Washburn. That's coming up in a couple of weeks. And so excited because there's a lot of history in Washburn. There's ferry boats. There's a little bit of Lewis and Clark, but we'll get to that next time. But thanks for joining us. We're out, ladies, of Another View on Beck. Bye-bye.